Fed up of wardrobes, driven to distraction and drowning with doom boxes? Tired of living in chaos? Welcome to Decluttering Untangled, how to declutter when you're overwhelmed, ADHD or autistic. I'm going to help you uncover the secrets to decluttering no matter what hurdles you face. You'll discover how to declutter, de-stress and transform your world. I'm Heather Tingle, reformed hoarder, neurodivergent declutter queen and your guide through the maze of mess. Let's get untangled. Hello Untanglers and welcome back to another episode of Decluttering Untangled with me, your host, Heather Tingle. So this episode came about from a conversation I had recently with an Apto colleague. So they asked me what information I have on my business card. And my answer was actually, I don't think I've used them in over 10 years. I don't really use them anymore. I use a QR code, or I add people directly into my phone, or we connect on LinkedIn or Instagram. And it kind of got me thinking, because in pretty much every single home I go to support with decluttering, we find a wedge of business cards. There's loads of them in a drawer, in a handbag, in a coat pocket from 3 years ago, in a random box of stuff, of bitty bits. They're just there, aren't they? So they're collected from conferences, networking events, shops, tradespeople, meetings. If you order something online and they send you one, they just generally still come and turn into clutter. And nobody really knows what to do with them. So they kind of just stay in a junk drawer or a junk space. Just there. Some people get really organised and put them in a folder, but they just tend to just stay there, getting in the way. And today I want to sort that out with you. So I think it's kind of important to say that business cards kind of feel important in the moment you receive them. So someone gives you this business card, or it comes through the post with some stuff, or it maybe comes through the letterbox. And there's kind of I want to say there's a social contract around it. They're very strange things. For a tiny piece of paper, they have so much power. You take it and you keep it, and then you do something with it. You put it in a drawer or in that box, or you put it in that thing at the side of your, when you walk in the door and you put it on that little side. Throwing it away immediately kind of feels a bit rude. Even if you're never going to contact the person ever again in your entire life, or we kind of keep it because we think this is really vitally important. And so they go in your pocket, they go in your bag, then the drawer, then a box, and then they just kind of live there accumulating because they just feel too important to chuck out, but not important enough to actually do something with because there isn't a really obvious solution. So that result is a collection of small rectangles of card representing people you may or may not still need, from companies that may or may not still exist, for reasons you may or may not be able to remember. So, and it is funny because when we go through it with clients, they go, I've got no idea who this person is or where this thing goes or why I've got it. I don't even remember getting it. So it's great. Let them go, because we have kind of moved on now. I am recording this in 2026. I think business cards made a lot of sense in the olden days that I remember, when phones did not do everything, when you could not just pull out your phone and save someone's number or connect with them on social media or send them a message on the spot. Card is a practical solution to a real problem. And that problem, in honesty, has largely been solved in other ways like social media and the internet. Most people share their contact details these days in other ways, like a follow on Facebook or a straightforward phone number swap. The information on a business card generally is more useful in your phone than in a drawer. And this does not mean that nobody uses business cards anymore. Some people still do, and still in some industries still use them. And some people do prefer them, which is absolutely fine. But a lot of the cards sitting in your drawer right now are probably from a version of life that has already moved on, which means a lot of them can go. The thing is, we keep them because we panic that information will be lost, and one day we might need it and it'll be vital that we have that information. So if, for example, our boiler breaks, we know who to contact because a friend of a friend gave that business card because they used them 5 years ago and they were great. Brilliant. So what happens is in in the future, when you need that number, what happens is you can't find the business card. You don't use it. You just give it a Google, or you ask your friends on Facebook, like, do we know any plumbers? Or you use your emergency breakdown cover or whatever. So you've just saved that piece of paper or that piece of card for 12 years. The phone number no longer exists. The company doesn't exist, and the website is gone. But you've kept that in your home for all that time for no reason. So let's look at kind of like how to deal with it. First of all, get them together. Go through that random box of, I want to say cack. That's not a rude word. Go through those random places. The pockets, the bags, the drawers, the boxes, the little dish by the front door, like everywhere. Get them into a pile so you can see what you're dealing with. And you may think that, well, they don't really take up much space. No, they don't, but they do still take up space. And they also take up bandwidth, because every time you look at that thing, it's still not got a proper home almost. And it's kind of a limbo thing. And I hate limbo things, because it's kind of a weird anomaly of don't need now, might need in future, but don't really know if I will. So let's just deal with it now. So go through them one at a time and ask yourself, do I actually need this contact? Is it vital? If the answer is no, and you generally cannot remember who the person is or why you got their details in the first place, it can go. You're not going to suddenly need it. If you've not needed it in the years it's been sitting in that drawer, you're probably not going to need it next week. Do not sue me if you suddenly do need it next week, because there are fallback plans. Do not worry. So if the answer is yes, actually, I do not want that information, there are a couple of steps you can do, and then you can let the card go. Check the company still exists. This may sound really obvious, but you would be surprised. Businesses close, people move on, websites lapse, especially if those cards are a few years old. Let's face it, the pandemic did an absolute number on many businesses, so some will not exist anymore. A quick Google search will tell you whether or not that contact is even still relevant. If the company's gone, the card can obviously go. So if the card is still relevant, input the details into your phone, or if you're paper-based, your address book right now, and you know where that is. Not later, do it now, because the card is not the trigger to remember. You don't need to remember. So if, for example, it's an electrician, put it in your phone under electrician or electric, not the person's name. Like, put the person's name in it as like the last name, so you've got all the information. Any notes you might want to add, but don't just put it under, like, I don't know, Harry Blogs, because that isn't going to help you. You want to put it under electrician, Harry Blogs, lives local, 24-hour call out, this is the number, such and such recommended me. Brilliant. And once those details in your phone, the card's done its job, can be recycled. I suppose there is also one category also worth mentioning, is that the cards you kept because they were a trigger to do something. So one day I'm going to visit this place. One day I'm going to buy something from this company. Chase the quote from, plumber or electrician or decorator or hairdresser or an Etsy page. If that's why the card's still there, use that as the trigger right now to action it. Pick up the phone, send the message, make the call, book the thing, and then the card can go, because the card was never the point. The action was the point. So if you take the action, and if you can't do it now, diary it in as a reminder to do it. And then once you've been through that whole pile, you can let them go, because business cards are generally recyclable. So the existing wedge has then been dealt with. So I suppose the next step is, how do we stop it from happening going forward? And the simplest thing you can do when someone hands you a card is to reject it, or ask them, is there some details that you can take that you can input straight away into your phone? Or if they are not useful to you, it is okay to say, actually, I don't need to keep that right now. That's okay. Thanks though. The information is already probably somewhere more useful. You can get that information again. So at conferences or networking events, connect on LinkedIn. Brilliant. That works really good. They're just there in the background doing their thing in whatever happens in LinkedIn. You've got their details. They've got yours. Nothing needs to travel home in your pocket and end up in a drawer. If it's a company, maybe follow them on social media if that's something that you do. Or if you're paper-based, write the information in an address book. But ask yourself, can I get this information again when I actually need it? So if you bought something from a company and you wanted to remember that company because they were really great or the product was fabulous and you want to buy it again, could you search through your emails to find that order again and find them that way? Or is it just easier to ask for recommendations when the time comes from friends and family? So you don't actually need to remember that person or company in the future, because information is always readily available when we need it. So do not feel obliged to hold on to something for a possible situation in the future that might not even happen. If someone gives you a card and you know honestly that you are not going to do anything with it, it is okay to put it straight in the recycle bin when you get home rather than adding it to a new pile. You are not obliged to keep everything that you are given. You are just obliged to be polite when you receive it. And also, this is very important, you can say no to a business card. That is also polite. You are allowed to say, actually, business cards don't really work for me, but I know who you are now. I'll contact you if I need you. And that is okay. You're allowed to do that. And on the sharing of your own detail side of things, QR codes, digital business cards these days where you just tap your phone against somebody else's works, a simple WhatsApp or text, they remove the problem from both ends. Nothing physical changes hands, nothing needs to be stored, nothing ends up in a drawer, you don't end up with thousands of them for 5 years down the line when you never got rid of them. It's okay. So to recap, get your business cards together in one place. For each one, ask if you actually need that information. If not, let it go. Check the company still exists if you do want that information. Input it into your phone or address book. And if you kept it as a trigger to do something, do the thing. Going forward, try not to take them. If you really do need that information, maybe take a photograph of it instead, or preferably connect digitally where you can. But also, if you do not need to, then it is okay to say no. Information can always be regained. The card was never the point. The contact was. And that lives much more usefully in your phone or on the internet for another day when you want it. It is allowed to stay there and you can reach out for it when you need it. So if you feel brave, because it can be quite a quick win, this one, for a quick declutter. If you're feeling overwhelmed by junk drawers and spaces, this could be quite a quick one for you. Come and tell me in the Untangled community on Facebook. I want to know how many you find and what you do with them and how old they are and how irrelevant they are. That would be really cool to know. So until next time, remember, you are not alone. Be kind to yourself and keep untangling. Thanks for joining me for today's episode of Decluttering Untangled. If you found anything that I've said today helpful, please do me a favour, hit that subscribe button or leave me a review. It's like receiving a virtual high five that keeps me going and lets me know that I'm helping real people out there and I'm making a difference. Please remember, you're not alone in this. I'm building a community of fellow untanglers over on Facebook. Just visit the show notes for the link to my free decluttering community. So until next time, remember, you're not alone, you're not lazy, you can untangle your life.